Introducing the man himself, the Maverick Jason Michaels.
Good at that. Good seeing you again.
Nice to see you.
All right. How the hell are you?
So far, so good.
So far, so
But
good.
you see, this is all about you.
About me? Hell, not that interesting.
So, are there any particular events or things in your life that inspired your interest in professional wrestling? What is your earliest memory of being interested?
Probably, I'd have to say, as much as I don't like to admit this, I'd have to say my biological father. He was big into wrestling. I remember watching it with him. I remember watching it with my mom's ex-boyfriend years and years ago. I was like 5 years old, just a little bitty guy, and I think I was like 12. I was watching Nitro, or WCW. I don't know if it was Nitro or not. I don't think it got to Nitro yet. Because at 12, that'd be like 94, I think. I was watching WCW, I do remember that. And I just remember looking at my mom like, yep, I want to be a wrestler when I get up. I want to do that when I get older. She goes, that's cute. So, yeah, I mean.
Sounds like her.
Yeah, clearly I didn't have a whole lot of support in that dream because it just seemed, I was a little bitty guy, dude. I mean, as you can tell, I'm not that big, so, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly a sport that's known for the success potential.
Rate, yeah, success rate for small guys is just not there.
I mean, period. It's just an industry that, it's just very, even if you are that good, it's hard to get where you want to be, where you
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. But I didn't see any reason why I couldn't do it. And the more people told me, you can't do it. It's a pipe dream. You're too small. Blah blah blah. That fueled me. And I was just like, yeah. I mean, I can do this. And I want to shove this business up your ass, pretty much.
So you started off from backyard wrestling.
Oh hell.
Is there anything you did back then that you wouldn't do now? Or anything that maybe you'd like to try again because you feel it went very well?
Okay, what I wouldn't do again, backyard wrestling.
As a whole?
As a whole, I would never do that again. No, I'll say it was backyard wrestling. I mean, as much as we as professionals try to dissuade people from doing that because it's really the worst possible way to learn this business.
Yeah, it's all about high spots and
well, not
taking
necessarily.
tolerance.
Not necessarily. I mean, yeah. For the real deal, yes, it's not about that. But for a backyard, you have to have like a stupid pain tolerance. You gotta have, you gotta be high spotting all over the place. Doing all kinds of stupid shit that really has no bearing on what goes on in the ring.
It's about how much you can do as opposed to what you're doing.
Right. There's no psychology involved. But it does toughen your body up. That much I will give it. If you recall, I mean, you've been privy to a lot of my backyard anecdotes.
Oh yeah, that's probably the cause of some of that.
Probably. Yeah, you were, a big proponent as to why that, my pain tolerance got up to where it was. That and the idea that I was able to become a showman, because I had the basic talent, the mat wrestling game. I had all that, but I didn't. I was all steak, no sizzle. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So I credit you a lot with that. Because you were very much a showman. You didn't have very much technical skill behind you, but you were a showman. You could do it. I mean, and I guess what I learned from you, I took there, and it does have its benefits, but it is definitely frowned upon if you go into a locker room and say, "Yeah, I'm a backyard wrestler."
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely a good way to get your ass kicked. But what would I like to do again? Honestly, I can't think of a whole lot that I would like to do again from those crazy.
Probably can't remember some of it either.
Well, let's just be frank, man. Taking a hibachi grill into the face, I mean, that's not something I really want to do again. It's just
yeah, I don't.
Nothing about that sounds good.
So, what was the crowning achievement of those days? Would you say
Crowning
when you were
achievement?
trying the backyard thing?
You know, to be honest,
Anything you pulled off that you're proud of?
making Ace tap out. It took everything in my body to keep this crazy son of a bitch down. And like that was the infamous hibachi grill lid thing.
Right.
We had a bunch of people out there watching, so it was a paid event. Believe it or not, people were paying to watch this shit. We made money off of it. But he literally threw everything at me but the kitchen sink. I mean, hibachi grill lid.
I'm pretty sure if that were out there, you would have got it.
Yeah, I probably would have got at least the faucet. You know, he did it. You know, he hit a release German suplex, and I hit the back of my head on the concrete. It was brutal. It was a really brutal match, but I kind of returned the favor. You know how professional wrestling is. You do something for me, you're gonna get a receipt.
Exactly.
He definitely got his receipt because I grabbed that. Once I got him in a vulnerable position, I grabbed that hibachi grill and just rear it back like Nolan Ryan and just right in the face, dude. Not in the head, not in the side of the head, not in the back of the head. Bam, right in the face. And it knocked him stupid enough for me to be able to put him in the Texas Cloverleaf. And he was not going to tap. Was not going to tap. You know. Ace.
Oh yeah.
His pride would not let him tap out. Well, he was without pride that day because I quite literally, put his feet on the back of his head and made him tap out.
That's saying something. He was not a very flexible guy.
And when he tapped out, man, he was so pissed off at me because at that point I won, the championship and retired for backyard. That was my last backyard wrestling match. I will never do that again. And he was so pissed off because he never got a rematch with me because I would refuse to give him a rematch. But that as far as a crowning achievement is shutting him up was my crowning achievement.
Even if it was only
Even
temporary.
if it was just for a minute, I shut his ass up. It was great. But that was probably the genesis of it. I mean, I enjoyed what I did. It was fun for a while I was doing it, but I wanted more.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of folks might not know this about you. You were very, very young. You suffered an unfortunate accident, and you lost your big toe.
Yep.
Now, do you feel? Because in my observation, I've always thought you were a very interesting case because you're the smallest guy I've ever seen that didn't fly all over the place. You come off more like a precise and crafty brawler. Do you think losing your big toe might have altered your style at all?
Well, if that was the case, ROTC would have been a problem for me. But no, I don't think that altered my style at all. I just saw that, for what you were saying, that there's the guys my size are usually like little Mexican jumping beans.
Oh yeah.
No disrespect meant, because those guys are tremendous athletes. But you see these guys bouncing around all over the place, and you don't remember what they're doing. I mean, can you tell me a single spot from all those cruiserweight matches that we watched back in WCW? All those guys that you've seen for years in ECW, WCW, New Japan, that do that type of style, but can you really tell me anything that happened in the match?
Oh no. I can describe a spot to you easily, but I could not accurately run down the story of the match.
Exactly my point. So I took my cues more from, to be honest with you, more from Dean Malenko. He was a little guy, and he could get in there, he could get it done. He got done on the mat. He didn't do a whole lot of flashy shit. Same with Tully Blanchard. He was my favorite horseman. To hell with Ric Flair. Tully Blanchard was the man. So I modeled myself a lot after Tully and Dean because they were sound and they didn't have to do a lot of flash and pomp and circumstance to get their point across, and they were safe with it. So their careers would have lasted a whole lot longer, as opposed to a guy who's bouncing around, blowing his knees out, messing up his tailbone and all this, that, and other thing. So I would say that that really had nothing to do with it. It more to the tune that I didn't feel like, bouncing around like that really send a message, and nobody would remember it. So I just did my own thing, and if it worked, it worked. If it didn't, I just figured something else out.
Speaking of Slick Rick, according to my notes here, you've actually met the man. How did that go?
Well, to be the man, you gotta beat the man. I don't want to beat the man. I don't want, and if to beat him, I gotta beat the man. I'm not interested because Rick, when I met him, was kind
Yes, describe this to us, please.
Oh God, I met him at a fair. Okay, he just came off that amazing match with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. So I went through he was signing this thing for the new lottery ticket that he had out, the 16-time world champion, whatever. And every raving lunatic mark in the world was just, what? Four Horsemen, who? Four Horsemen, who? I'm sure he got sick of that, but then again, it's Ric Flair. He's his own biggest mark.
Yeah.
Look,
you could say that about just about any successful wrestler out there.
Do not get me wrong. Don't mince my words. Don't get me wrong. I respect the hell out of Ric Flair because of what he's done. I respect it. I don't like him as a person because he's a dick.
You heard it here.
He says, "What can I do for you?" And I shook his hand like a worker. I'm not going to reveal that. Any of the workers watching know what I'm talking about, so I shook his hand like a worker, so he knew that I was trained and I was old school trained. And he says, "Well, what can I do for you?" I said, "Well, an autograph and a picture, and I got a question for you." So he signed an autograph, and he says, "Okay, what's your question?" I said, "Well, I was 25 at the time, so I was still in my prime." He says, I said, "I'm looking to move up. Do you have any suggestions?" He just kind of looked me up and down like that. He said, "You don't. You'll never make it."
Oh.
So when I went to shake his hand the second time to get the picture, and there is and I do have a photograph, you can see that I'm like ripping the hell out of his hand.
Just pretend it's flashing here.
I'm gripping the hell out of his hand, so that tells him one thing: if I ever get in the ring with you, we're gonna fight. I mean, I might not beat you, but I'm gonna fight you, and you're gonna know I'm there.
You'll remember me.
You will remember me. Don't ever tell me I'm not gonna make it, you douchebag. But that doesn't take away from the stuff that he's done. It doesn't take away from the tremendous career he's had, the excellent matches he had. He's arguably one of the best. I'm never going to take that from him. But as a personality, as a human being, he's not that. He's forgettable. Yeah.
Well, that's about the worst thing you can say.
Well, truth is truth.
So, describe your experience on the night of your first legitimate professional wrestling bout.
Brother, you should remember this.
Oh, yes,
You
but,
you
the
should
people want to hear it.
You should remember this better than anybody. Brother, I remember distinctly, my mom, it took me a week and a half to get my mom to sign the release form to let me wrestle because I was only 17. And you were able to sign your own.
Yeah, I remember you being hot about that.
I was so pissed about that. You was like, "Yep, I got this, mom." And I'm like, "Mom, please." Once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm 17 years old, finally get a chance to get in the ring. My mom's like, "Hell no, you're not doing it." Fuck. It wasn't until she got to work and people were telling her about this place and, that, yeah, he'll be fine, blah, 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 and the fact that I was working you. So she knew I'd be okay. So she finally signed the contract. And I remember getting there, this old rundown skating rink, this hole-in-the-wall piece of crap. I'm amazed anybody knew where it was. I mean, there was like a dozen people in the ring, in the audience, and half of them belonged to the fucking wrestlers. But
this place was so bad, the concessions looked like they needed to
oh, Jesus Christ, dude. It was awful. I mean, you know this. I mean, you kind of loosened me up a little bit. You just don't realize it because that spot where you were in the back and you grabbed the kendo stick to see if they really hurt. You cracking yourself in the head with a kendo stick 3 times, like, fuck, that really hurt. Yeah.
that caught me very much by surprise because you see it on TV and the way the stick bends, you're like, oh, I bet you that don't even hurt.
Yeah, that can't possibly hurt. You rack yourself in the head with it. Well, yeah. Son of a bitch.
Like the first one I didn't quite feel, the second one I started to, that third one I regretted. I'm not even gonna lie.
But yeah, I mean that loosened me up a little bit because it got me laughing and everything. But meanwhile, I remember you being like a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs, dude, scared as hell.
Yes.
And I just had to remember, I remember just before we hit Gorilla, I was like, dude, we're just in the backyard doing our thing, we're having a good time. Let's go out there and just do our thing, man. Sean, or Electric Gigolo, whatever the fuck he's calling himself these days.
Jail.
I remember him telling you that he wanted you to go over, which is fine by me. I don't, you know me, I'm business. I don't mind doing a job.
Right.
But I remember you saying specifically that don't make any sense. You're better than me.
Yeah.
But I, to my recollection, I mean, I was nervous as hell because it's my first match out there, and I cannot believe we paid $35 a piece to do this. Essentially paying $26 to get our ass kicked.
Yeah.
And I do remember going out there. We had the audience. They hated me immediately. You came out there to Michael Jackson's Money. I'll never forget that.
They should have hated me immediately.
They should have hated you immediately, but dude, the cat calls you were getting were freaking epic, and it made my job easy. So we went. I remember we going in there doing our thing, and then the referee's like, "Dude, we gotta wrap this up. We gotta wrap this up." Fuck. So you hit me with the worst, lamest finish ever. With the fucking stroke. Sorry, Jarrett, but it's the worst finish ever.
What's so stupid about that is I didn't want to finish you that way, but I thought that we had to finish it right then and there. So that's all I was in the position
But
for.
then again, we were rookies. That was our first match ever. First match on an actual show in front of people. So of course we're not gonna have the wherewithal or the knowledge to say like, okay, we got about a minute and a half to wrap this up. But I do remember the following day, Gigolo called me up and he said, "Have you seen the King Times?" No, fucker, I was in school. First day of school was the next day. I got my ass kicked on a Sunday, go to school on Monday.
This would happen often.
Yeah, often. And he said, "Well, you might want to take a look at it, considering you guys are the only thing it mentioned. They mentioned us in the King Times by name. We're the only ones they mentioned by name." And it was like, we were just doing a job, dude. It's not my fault. The rest of them sucked. And we didn't. If you recall, we didn't even know how to run the ropes at the time.
Oh God, no, yeah.
I mean, when we trained with Danny, Mr. Excellent.
Didn't help that the top rope was at the back of our heads.
Yeah, no, we're like freaking midgets out there. But when Danny was training us, we were just training on the wrestling mats at school. He was, teaching us the mat game, the fundamentals. How to do chain wrestling, reverses, counters, all that shit. He was doing all that, but we never got inside an actual wrestling ring. So if you remember, T-Money was the guy that showed us how to shoot the ropes and everything like that. So we didn't even have that going for us.
Hell no.
So yeah, we were scared as hell, dude. I mean, I'm sure you can verify that. But to my mind, I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. It was a lot of fun. I think we could have done better. I mean, of course, I always believe we could do better. No matter what we do, no matter how good we are, I feel as though we could do better.
Nothing I do is ever good enough for me to.
Yeah. So I mean, first match, nerves, great anticipation, and a lot of fun. And it's one of my favorite memories. Yeah, actually.
So your career has actually paralleled one Rob Roberts.
So hell. Yeah.
So how did that How did you two come to meet? How did you come to form a relationship?
ROTC, high school. He was one of those cocky ROTC Mount Tabor jackasses that I did not like. But we Rob and I, just like you and I, bonded over pro wrestling. I found out that he went to Ken Smith School of Professional Wrestling and that he was in the business. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, he's
jackpot.
Yeah.
I'm in. So I mean, if I get in good with this guy, then because he was just starting his training. I mean, getting done with his training. I was getting done with my training with Danny. And you were kind of in and out. You did the one-off match and you were done. And
went on to become consumed by problems.
Well, we all got it, brother. But he was one of the bigger proponents to helping me get my pain threshold up to where it needed to be to go through all this. He was really good. I'm not going to take anything from him. He was really good at if he knew that you were good enough and he could put you over. He was a great put over guy, really great put over guy. He was an amazing heel. He could get anybody to hate him, which you and I both know that's easy.
All he had to do was open his mouth.
Yeah, really. I mean, he had that natural kind of a douchey thing about him, but he was really a nice guy. But we bonded like me and you over wrestling. We didn't like each other at first, just like me and you didn't. And we got into wrestling. We started training together. We got better and better and better. And if you recall, he actually took our place at SCWA.
That's right.
Yeah, we were going to do a follow up after the ladder match, the tag team ladder match me that Newbury did. And they had to come in our stead because some kind of, life happens, type thing.
Is this around the time when the infamous Lethal Lockdown bout took place?
Yes, Lethal Lockdown bout. God almighty damn. That was pain. All the pain, dude. I mean, I think you were there.
Oh, I was.
I think you were there. I don't remember a lot from that night because, well...
I gave up a few minutes in and got pulled back a few minutes later.
It's a little foggy. We were doing some just rudimentary, boring ass, it was in a ring. It was just doing some rudimentary, boring shit, and we were losing the audience. We were losing. I'm like, dude, we're losing, and we got to do something. So...
At this point, I'd already wandered on to see if I could chat up some ladies.
Yeah, and meanwhile, I'm trying to win back an audience that really had no interest whatsoever in what we were doing. So, I remember kicking him as hard as I could in the nuts and dropping him square on the top of his head in the middle of the ring, just like that one. And because if we were going to do this, we weren't going to pussyfoot around about it. We were going to make sure that it had some sort of production value, that it was a legit thing. Even if we borrowed the ring for a night, for one match, it didn't matter. We were going to make sure it was legit. But once I did that, he realized I was shooting on him. And so he picked me up and he launched me face first into a steel door. And I opened the door with my head.
And this is where I come in, because I was on the other side of that.
What was it, 3 feet into the hallway? Ugh.
Oh my! That's the strange thing. If I'd been walking just a couple paces slower, you might have right into me.
Yeah, probably. But I remember sliding 3 feet into the hallway, and God damn!
That was when they won me back.
I'm like, what the hell happened? And I vaguely remember you picking me up and taking me up to the catwalk, which we hadn't planned to go up that far. But we got up to the catwalk, and somehow or another, by some act of, no, just for the record, none of this was planned. There was a steel chair sitting beside the door, folded up against the wall. So I remember you handed me the steel chair, and as soon as Rob opened the door, bam, right in the face. So he leaned up against the railing on the catwalk, and that's where I unveiled my infamous low blow from hell. Yes, the Johnny Cage punch.
Needs to come back if you ask me.
I'm trying. The Johnny Cage punched the nuts. It was great. My manager turned on me. He hit me with an X Factor on basically concrete. So I don't remember. After that, I don't remember a damn thing. But except for one of the ladies in RTC was nursing my wound. I remember once the fog lifted a little bit, she said something to the effect of was that fun? Yeah, let's do it again. I was hooked.
Right.
This is before mine and your debut match, and I was like, yeah, let's do it again. I'm game for another one. My whole side of my chest was blood red. Looked like your arm, dude. It was awful, but it was fun. But he was a hell of a put over guy. He made me look like $1 million. I can't say anything. I got nothing but good things to say about it.
Some other people that have factored into your career pretty importantly, Jake the Snake Roberts and George South. What roles did they exactly play in your composition as a wrestler?
Well, George South, kind of a dick. Nice enough guy, but kind of a douche. He's a glorified jobber, basically. He made a lot of money making people look good. He wrestled the Horsemen and things like that. And he was the guy that delivered the ring for the first FCW show. And I remember I had a match with him at the Winston-Salem Armory, which FCW opened up to professional wrestling again, and we had a pretty good match. And to say that he took liberties with me would be a mild understatement.
Right.
Because he beat the dog hell out of me, and it's because of that I don't have a lot of respect for him, because he knew, because if I ever ran a show, I don't book my own matches, because I don't want to be that promoter. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be the guy that says, oh, where the rest of the locker room's like, oh, Maverick's going over because he owns the company. No, I don't want to do that. So I have somebody else book my matches, so that way, okay, you're going over, he's going over, hey, Mav, you're going over, and it can't be put on me. I'm just the guy that put the bill and put everybody in the building.
Right.
But after the match, he had nothing but respect for me. He's like, you didn't complain, you came back for more, you kept going. Nothing to say about it. Nothing bad to say about it. And Jake Roberts, the last showing I had in Lexington with ASWA, he was the main attraction. We shot the shit for a little bit. Picked on me for about a half an hour. Which, you can't get mad at that. Legends picking on me.
Right.
So we got to talk about the DDT and how it's being kind of bastardized here lately. Like everybody freaking does it. So
at this point, it's just a setup.
It's just a setup move now. And like somebody needs to bring that back as a finish. He goes, would you? I'm like, are you serious? Yeah, would you? Hell yeah. Yeah, I'll do it, no problem. He goes, well, if you're going to do it, you're going to learn how to do it right. Okay, there's a ring right there. So, sure enough, we got in the ring, and I don't know if he remembers this or not. Actually, he does, but I'll get to that in a minute. But we got in the ring, and he dropped me on my head twice. Once was the right way, once was the wrong way, and I couldn't tell you which one it was.
Oh, shit.
I really couldn't tell you. Because he dropped me on top of my head both times. He said, that's how you do it, boy. No, all right, cool. Fast forward 10 years later, he's going around the country doing this comedy shtick. He got cleaned up, and he's looking really good through DDP yoga.
Right.
And you're welcome, Dallas. And so I sent my autograph to a show that he was doing here in Winston. The next day, I think it was like the next weekend, Big Country, we'll get to him in a minute, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah.
He called me up, he goes, did you give Jake Roberts your autograph? I said, yeah, I did. Well, he said, he's on stage right now making fun of you. I'm like, ah, shit. He goes, no, that's a good thing. You got a legend. You got a WWE Hall of Famer talking about you across the country. That's free publicity. That's press you can't buy. So consider yourself fortunate. So I'm like, hell yeah, I'm good with that. So, yeah.
You didn't even have to get a
Hell
scandal.
no, man, no, I loved it, man. I mean, it's anytime you got somebody talking about you good, better, and different, I'm all for it.
So what are some other names that you feel were very important to the formation of Maverick?
Billy Jack Martin.
Thank you.
My mom, actually, believe it or not. Though she didn't support my wrestling, she was instrumental in.
She supported your happiness.
She supported the fact that there was nothing she could do about it.
Oh, yeah.
She supported that fact because there was really nothing she could do to stop me because I was going to do it whether she liked it or not.
Yeah, the unfortunate burden of being a parent seems to be the more you try to stop something.
The more it's going to happen.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way it was. And so she said, to hell with it, if I can't stop you, I may as well go and help you out here. So she came up with the Maverick character because of, well, I'm the last thing you would think. I'm the last thing you envision when you think professional wrestler.
Yeah.
You think 6'2", 240, built like a brick shit house. You're not thinking 5'4.5", 150 pounds, professional wrestler.
That's what I think of when I think of a referee.
There you go.
Yes, you're
All
right.
right. So, Maverick fit perfect because that's someone independent thought and action does. Last thing you expect them to do. So that's me. And she said, you're not going to go out there and use somebody else's name. You're not going to go out there and be somebody you ain't. So, my first and middle name is Jason Michael. Fits.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jason Michaels. Didn't know who Shawn Michaels was at the time. I really didn't. So I'm like, okay, I'll go with that. Everybody thought I was a raving lunatic mark, but hey, I was born with the name, so.
Yeah.
But she's also instrumental in the formation of New Breed. Just throwing that out there. We'll get to that in a second. As far as anybody else instrumental, you got Danny Fritz, George South.
You mentioned Big Country a minute
Big
ago.
Country, god damn, he's been a player. He taught me how to fly. He taught me psychology, taught me how to fly. Always took really good care of me. I went down to a show he was doing in Bristol about 6 years back, and he put me up in his house. I didn't have to pay room and board, nothing like that. Took me out to eat. I didn't pay for that. Gave me a $70 PO, to drive a 6-hour round trip.
Right.
And I was wrestling in front of Matt Hardy. So he always took really good care of me. And he's a brother. I love him to death. Good people.
Do you, speaking of other people that might have played a part in you,
Okay.
do you believe your career would be better, worse, or the same without the Electric Gigolo's involvement?
Worse, actually. As
Really?
much shit as I would like to give him, I can't really take away from the fact that he was the guy that got me in the ring to begin with, and he was very instrumental in helping me help bring FCW to fruition. I was instrumental in helping him bring Southern Wrestling to the forefront, which is right there, and so we very much helped each other out. He also was the guy that was the catalyst for me getting in the door of EWA. And without EWA, I would not be where I'm at right now. So to say that to exclude him from my career would be almost detrimental. And so I can't knock him for that.
Given everything surrounding this guy, that's actually a pretty impressive feeling.
Well, it's supposed to be. You asked me to be honest, so here you go.
Right.
I'm gonna grab my coffee real quick. Anyway,
So, let's get to the question I'm sure everyone's dying to know.
all right.
How did the new breed come about?
Pure accident. As part of the vastly unscripted debut match of Jason Michaels and Billy Jack Barton, we hugged at the end of it, which was not supposed to happen because you were the baby face, I was the heel. Gigolo had this whole thing going on. This is how he wanted the show to work out. He didn't want me and you, mixing it up anymore after the match. So
You should have tried harder.
yeah, really. Come on, fucker. You're my brother. And so after that, we went home, and this is before you made the decision to, put the kibosh on your wrestling career. And we were working on, because we knew our next match was a tag team match for the tag team titles. And we had to come up with a name, and there was, my mom had introduced us, if you remember, introduced us to Tragic Seasons.
Oh, yeah.
And we were sitting and listening, we were talking to Mom, if you remember, we were talking to Mom about, we need a name. And we were trying to think of, the blah, 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 just some kind of, generic pro wrestling names for like, the Michaels Boys or some shit like that. It just wasn't working. Nothing was clicking.
I found something actually the other day where we were the Simmons Boys.
Yeah, on that spring clipboard.
Yep.
I remember that. But we were sitting back listening to Tragic Seasons with Mom, and One Breed came on, and just the opening riff of that just kind of gave you a semi,
Yes.
it was that.
Very much so.
Thank you, Chuck Raycraft. Rest in peace, John Wright. But anyway, Mom looked at it and she says, was listening to it with us, and she goes, "There's your name." Huh? She said, the first line of that song, what does it say? Man, New Breed. Yep.
Quickly running with a new
There
breed.
you go. She said, "There's your name." And she says, "And you're stupid if you don't use that song." Okay. So, that's where it came from. We were going in for a tag team title match, a ladder match, if you recall.
Right.
Brutal match. We still won. They couldn't not.
We don't remember winning though. That should tell you.
Yeah,
something.
it was that bad. I mean, you can't not put us over when the newspaper already put us over.
Yeah.
So we were prime targets for the tag team championships, and when they brought us in, they thought we were going to use some generic shit. We came in, we had an original entrance music, we had an original name, we had a whole new attitude. You finally got your gear right, not the goofy ass onesie your dad gave you.
Oh God! The only thing worse than that was the plastic pants. Those were such a bitch to work in.
Well, it made a great sound though.
Yeah.
But we won the tag team championships, and at that point, Southern Stokes County Wrestling Alliance folded. We still reigning SCWA tag team champions, by the way. But that was the genesis of New Breed, if I remember correctly. I mean, so Mom, yeah, it was Mom.
Mom again?
Yep.
What would you say you're the most proud of in the earliest years of your career?
What am I the proudest of early on in my career?
An accomplishment, a moment?
I can't say really an accomplishment or a moment per se, because I didn't have a lot of them. I spent a lot of time looking at the ceiling, early on. Of course, anybody first couple of years of their career, they're going to be looking at the lights a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Eating a lot of poop sandwiches.
Yeah, and learning to like the taste of it. So I would have to say it wasn't so much an accomplishment, but more of a bragging right that two things. I can guarantee two things. Number one, I'll definitely get you over. Number two, you will not find anybody tougher than me. I'm not gonna stop.
That's all what it all boils down to.
And I had so many people come up to me like, yeah, Mav, I want to work with you. I want to work with you because I know you're gonna make me look good. Because I'll be wrestling these behemoths, and I'd have to find a way to make them look good. So making somebody look good in that arena, it wasn't that hard. So having guys want to work with me is probably to me my greatest accomplishment.
You and I know each other well enough where you will probably know what I'm fishing for here.
All right.
Is there ever anything that you have done in your entire career that you regret?
Anything I've done in my career that I regret?
A certain ankle comes to mind, if
Oh,
you want me to be blunt.
Damn it. Well, I'm not going to go into too many details. I'm not going to talk about the promoter who told me to do this. I'm not going to talk about the promoter that paid me.
All right,
to
we're
do
not
this.
looking to sting anybody here. We're just looking for an observation.
A
feeling.
An individual coming in the business needs to show this business respect. And I was early in my career. I was looking to move up. Looking to find my little spot in the company.
Right.
And the promoter had a guy come in, and he was very disrespectful to the business. He was one of those guys that got a pair of boots under the Christmas tree and thought he could do this. And turns out, he'd worked with several other guys before, and he was just terrible. There was no working with him. He wasn't teachable. And he was just being flat out disrespectful to the business. And so...
You were looking for clay, and instead you got stone.
Pretty much. You if you can't mold somebody, then they're no good. They don't need to be in the business at all. And so the promoter came to me and he says, I need to get rid of him. And I'm like, well, okay. How would you like me to do that? He goes, well, I'm going to leave that up to you. I said, he says, but it's worth $300 if you do it. So I'd read in biographies and things of that nature that if you wanted to get rid of somebody, you give them an old school challenge. I don't know if you know what an old school challenge is, but that's where you drop down on all fours like Greco-Roman wrestling, and you'd roll, you'd wrestle.
Right.
Well, I challenged him, and we rolled. I got the better of him. And it's like, all right, kid, your turn. Giving the crowd a treat. is what he thought. I mean, you know, but again, he was not showing any kind of respect to the veterans. He wasn't showing any kind of respect to the business. He didn't show no respect to the ring or to the promoter that was giving him a chance. He wasn't willing to learn. And he got down on all fours, and I regret this because it's the shadiest thing I've ever done. It was kind of like a mob hit. He got down on all fours, and I dropped 150 pounds on the back of his ankle. Dropped me on the back of his ankle. I think I'm pretty sure I shared his growth plate. I'm not proud of it. Not something I intend to do again. Nobody ever needs to ask me to do it again because I won't. But
That's maturity, folks.
But as far as but I was a young kid trying to get my spot, and if I could endear myself to the promoter, I'd do it. And at that point, in the late '90s, early 2000s, you had to do what you had to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was probably the worst thing I've ever done.
So, what finally brought you to EWA?
Again, that would be the Electric Giggler. He worked a few matches with Major Havoc, did a few shows for him, and they were doing a fair show up in Mount Airy, and so he brought me along as an extra, just a ham and egger, extra guy on TV. And I worked him the first night, which was a big pile of stinking shit. But we got through it. It was all right. The crowd was into it, whatever. So it was a 2-night stand. So I came back the next night. Jody was like, he goes, "You're working Big Country." I'm like, "Who the hell's Big Country?" So it was a big ass redneck dude. I'm like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" I knew he was gonna destroy me. So we went out there, and he knew that I was fast. That's all he knew about me. That I could get around the ring faster than he could. That's all he knew. He never seen me work before. He didn't know anything about me. He just knew my name was Jason Michaels. Had long hair, looked like Sean. So we got in there. We worked a match. We did about 15 minutes. And it was very much comedic, including but not limited to a monkey flip off the second rope where I landed on my feet. Head scissor takeover off the turnbuckle. A lot of things. We did a lot of good stuff. And by the time I got done, by the time the match was over, the crowd were on their feet. They loved it. We got in the bag. He looked at Jody. He goes, "He's a damn worker. You need to keep him." So I'm like, okay. I shook his hand and said, "I appreciate it. Thank you very much." And I got people telling me that match looked very professional. In other words, I did a great job. I'm like, "Oh, cool. Thank you." I thought it was just a one weekend thing. And I came back and there you go. Found home.
So, what would be your absolute most ideal roster for the new breed?
Ideal roster for the new breed. Obviously, you can't have new breed without Jason Michaels and Billy Jack. That's like the Horseman without Anderson and Flair.
Right.
You can't do it. But I would say.
Oh, Lord knows they tried.
Would you say how many? What's the limit do I have? Give me a limit. Personally.
4 members.
4 members.
Can be people that have been in formally. Can be people that you always wished you could have brought in but never got to.
Oh, that's easy. Me, you, obviously. DeSalvo. James DeSalvo. And damn, one more. Wolfie. Wolfman Shane Adams. Shane.
That was one of those things could have gone somewhere and it didn't.
Damn, dude. If he hadn't hurt his back, bro, we would own EWA. There's no two ways about it. There's no doubt in my mind. He was over like a motherfucker. I was over like hell. James was over. You were over. I mean, you were a hell of a mouthpiece for New Breed at the time. The modern era of New Breed.
That's just because I got a big mouth.
Well, that works for you then. DeSalvo was a hell of a damn bodyguard. Can't say no good things about him.
Oh yeah.
And then me and Wolfie. I mean, come on, man. It's me and Wolf. You got Maverick and Wolfman. That's like a Top Gun reunion.
An interesting little anecdote there. I had to actually loan Wolfman my shirt for the one night he actually ran with us.
Yeah, and we got our asses kicked.
And honestly, then he ended up having to retire, so I was sitting there thinking, okay, I'm never giving my shirt to anyone again. It will stay with me from here on out.
But the thing of it is, I mean, Wolfie could have been there, man. He could have been he could have been the muscle that I wasn't.
Yes.
I mean, and like I said, he was over like hell. There's nothing he could do no wrong.
Oh yeah, I was very much a fan before we ever even talked about trying to get him in.
Yeah, I mean, and he was all for coming on board with New Breed. If his back would have held up, I know for a fact we could have owned EWA for the entire the tag team division, the heavyweight division, the cruiserweight division. Man, we would have had it. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. So my dream roster already happened.
Interesting. It's not the answer I was expecting. I will say that.
That's what I'm going for.
So, you also happen to be a father
Yeah.
of a beautiful young lady.
Yes. Soon to be a father to a little boy.
You heard it here first.
Got another little boy coming and got a stepson.
How do you feel about them potentially entering into the business?
Well, my stepson, I know for a fact is not all that interested. I mean, he loves watching me do
He's
what
more of an intellectual.
Right. He's very much an intellectual. He's more like his dad, his biological dad. But he does enjoy watching me do what I do. Leah, my daughter, oh God, I welcome her.
Even if she could potentially be taking on men who are dangerous.
Shit, go for it. Whoop their ass, because I'm going to make sure she knows how to.
Equality.
I'm going to make sure she knows how to. Connor, whenever he gets old enough, if he's interested in the business, I'll be the one to train him. And if he gets in the business and he wants to make a go at it, by damn, I'm going to make sure he gets a go at it.
What's great about that is the rate for second generation wrestlers being successful is practically guaranteed.
Yeah, you got a pretty good shot at it. I mean, if your old man was worth his medal in the ring, I mean, yeah, you could. The second generation could really make a go at it. And I don't. And if Connor and Leah were really wanting to get into it, hell yeah, any day of the week, no problem.
Amazing.
Especially with the guys that I know that would take care of them, I wouldn't think twice about it.
So, I think we're going to go in interrogation mode.
All right.
Close this thing with that.
That's it.
Name your 3 all-time favorite wrestlers.
3 all-time favorite wrestlers: Roddy Piper, clearly. Shawn Michaels, and if I had to pick another one, Jake the Snake Roberts.
Works out very well. What's
you
your...
got, well, think about it, man. You got the greatest in-ring performer ever. To hell with Ric Flair. Shawn Michaels was the greatest ever. You got the greatest mind the business has ever seen in Jake the Snake Roberts. I mean, and he still got it. He's still sharp as a tack.
Oh, yeah.
And then you got arguably the greatest heel ever to lace up a pair of boots.
Hey,
And the only guy Hulk Hogan never beat.
That's saying something.
And anybody with the balls to wear a skirt to the ring, kilt, but a skirt by most people's definition.
Saves on air conditioning.
Hey, trust me, it does. But anyway, go ahead.
So, what is your all-time favorite match that you didn't compete in?
My favorite match that I didn't compete in, simple. Street fight. Hunter versus Shawn.
See, I knew
SummerSlam 2001. I'll never forget it. I was 25. It was my birthday. Actually, fell on my birthday, and I didn't know who Shawn Michaels was. Never seen him before. That was the first time I remember watching him wrestle, and holy shit, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time.
I recall for at least a week after you saw that, you watched the match at least once a day.
At least once a day. I mean, it was just epic. I mean, for a guy who broke his back, being out of the business for 4 years, and can still go like that, and put on that kind of a match, go 45 minutes, and never skip a beat. What's better than that?
Amen.
I mean, there's nothing better than that. So
What's your all-time favorite match in which you did compete?
that's also pretty damn easy. The Texas Bull Rope match with James DeSalvo. That was the most brutal match. And if you know anything about Nightmare on Bridge Street, you've been a part of Nightmare on Bridge Street.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, I'm undefeated. 10-0, undefeated. and you have to go on Nightmare on Bridge Street. I mean, it is. They don't call it the most brutal match on the calendar for nothing.
Right.
I mean, there's bloodshed everywhere. I mean, you have to take that canvas to the dry cleaner after that show because it is a disgusting mess.
Sweat, puke,
blood,
crap.
There's puke, literally. Puke. I mean, guy puked in the ring. It was fucking gross. But that was my favorite because it was at that point it was the most brutal thing I've ever done, and it was a masterful piece of storytelling. You hand a guy called the Strangler a rope.
It's academic from that point.
I mean, and he's a lot of people don't know this. If you know who the Boston Strangler is, Albert Salvers.
Yes, sir.
That's his nephew. Believe it or not, yeah. Newbury alum is related to a serial killer. Yeah. So I hand this guy a rope. Let's go, kid. You know, and it was great. I mean, it was worth having my head glued back shut. It was worth that.
Have fun with that, social justice warriors.
Yeah, jackass. I had my head glued shut, front and back. I mean, because he hit me, I know a dozen times.
Yeah.
And then he took the edge of the cowbell and dug it into my forehead. It was gross.
Some Bruiser Brody stuff.
Yeah, it was brutal. And then at the very end of the match, he was coming back after me again, and I wound up actually kicking him in the throat. Yeah, probably easily the most fun, believe it or not, and the most brutal match I've ever been a part of, and I'll gladly do it again tomorrow. Yeah.
The worst thing about wearing tights for a profession is
they're not very forgiving. They're not very forgiving, especially if there's any attractive women in the audience, because there's.
You gotta hope everything.
Okay. This is a shoot, right? You want me to be honest?
Right.
Okay. Some women do tend to get a little handsy. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, tights don't do a whole lot to cover up anything.
Like reactions.
Yeah. No, not just reactions, but just your profile. You know, that could get you in a lot of trouble. That's just not very forgiving. But other than that, it's comfortable to work in. Breathes really nice. I have no problem with it.
Who's the most overrated wrestler of all time, in your opinion?
Oh, easy. Roman Reigns. Easily
Of all time?
Oh,
Really?
my God. He is so overrated. I mean, he's tough. I'm not going to take that away from him.
That surprised me.
He's an NOI. Can't take that from him. I mean, he's got a hell of a lineage. He's just not living up to it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very much a one-hit wonder. I mean, he can brawl. That's fine. But he shows up. He's a workhorse. He's good at what he does, but what he does isn't very good. You know.
Oh Lord.
I mean, it's like one of those things where you've seen one of his matches, so you've seen them all.
Yes.
You know, Superman punch 5 moves of doom kind of guy. I'm not saying any names, Tina, but but yeah, I would have to say he's the most overrated.
Who's the most underrated?
Daniel Bryan, actually. He's very much underrated. He's over like $1 million now because he just came back after a 3-year hiatus. But before that,
A hiatus that nobody wanted.
right. I mean, but before that, obviously he was over with the crowd, but he was getting buried. He would win a championship, and then they would rip it away from him. You know, he was working his ass off. To be fair, I gotta say, it's kind of a toss-up between Bryan and Ziggler.
I would agree with that.
Ziggler, I love Ziggler. He is the closest to an actual workhorse, you know, genuine specimen in this business that we have left.
Yeah.
And I enjoy watching him work. I enjoy watching Daniel Bryan work. I just wish the WWE would get the fuck out of their way so that they can do their job.
Just kind of makes you wonder why Triple H didn't carry a shovel instead of a sledgehammer, huh?
Pretty much. He just take this past WrestleMania for example. I mean, he interjected himself and Stephanie into the biggest match on the card with Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey. Kurt Angle is still the man. I mean, he's
Oh, you know I'm the biggest Kurt Angle fan. You know this.
You're a raving lunatic, Mark. Kurt Angle, okay?
Yes.
I'm surprised you don't got red, white, blue around here. You know what I'm saying?
You haven't seen my underwear.
Oh wow, gross. But Ronda was coming in, hot off signing to WWE. You got Kurt Angle coming back to WrestleMania for the first time in God knows how long. High profile match. You're gonna put him in there and then you're gonna interject yourself. There were several other stars that should have been in that position that could have put her over like she's supposed to be. But they didn't. They wanted to hog the spotlight. You know, biggest pay per view of the year, and they're gonna take the biggest pay cut.
Yeah.
The biggest part of the pie is bullshit.
Once and for all, are you truly the reason that Rob Roberts has no neck?
No. Interesting story though. We got his debut in EWA was kind of off the cuff. He wasn't supposed to be there. I didn't have anybody to work. It was around my birthday, so he just Jody looked at me. He says, "Do you not have anybody that you can work? I'm booked up here. You need an opponent. We don't have anybody." I said, "I got you." So I went out and told Rob, I said, "Gear up. You're working tonight." So we went out there, and nobody was expecting him to come out. There was a real life, professional 15-year feud with me and him. And it was another easy story to tell. So we went back, and that's when I started using the DDT more regularly because moonsaults off the top,
They can be costly to one's career.
Yeah, you can only land so many times like a sack of taters before
your knees start to get mad.
Yeah, really. You start hating yourself the next morning, like, son of a bitch. But so I went with the DDT, and Jody was like, Major Havoc. He says, "Oh, how the hell you gonna hook him for a DDT? He ain't got no neck." I said, "That's easy. I just grab his ears and drag his ass down." Rob, to his credit, bless his heart, he was good. He was a great sport about it. He was cracking up, laughing back as hell. And he says, "I just lend my ears to him. I mean, I'll wear it." He says, "I'll wear a dog collar if I have to, so you can just grab a hold of that." So careful, it might slip off my head.
All right, next question. Who are your three all-time favorite females?
All-time favorite female wrestlers?
Yes.
Currently or in general?
Oh, just all time.
All time. Okay. Trish Stratus, revolutionary in that time period. Really hard for women to be taken seriously in the Attitude Era. I mean, you had the likes of Ivory and Jacqueline, Trish, Molly Holly, people like that. They were all phenomenal workers, but Trish stood out because she was the first to really get in there and be taken seriously as a female performer. Then I would have to say Asuka. Love Asuka. I mean, she's right for the pickings. I mean, she's a shoot worker. She's got a great look, great presentation. Hell yeah, love Asuka.
Oh God, if you think she's something in WWE, you should check out her early New Japan work.
And I would have to say number 3 would probably, believe it or not, Charlotte.
I'm a little surprised.
Unless of course Tessa Blanchard shows up, then I'd have to go with Tessa by default because Tully's my boy.
What would your dream match be?
My dream match with anybody?
Yes.
With anybody. With anybody. Well,
as long as they're alive.
As long as they're alive. Okay, Shawn Michaels. With or without his hair, bless his heart. I would love to get in the ring with Shawn Michaels.
HBK doesn't rock a side part. But anyway.
No, it's actually come back, believe it or not. But I would love to get back in. I would love to get in the ring with Shawn. I mean,
I think anybody would, honestly.
I mean, truthfully, on my bucket list as far as performers that I want to be in the ring with, Shawn, because A, he's a professional. I know he'll take care of me. B, we have a very similar style. We don't do a lot of high flying, but what we do matters.
Yeah.
The high flying we do matters. He does a couple moonsaults here and there, maybe. He'll do the flying elbow. And the rest of it is just working. Oh, I can work with guys. He bumps his ass off. I'll bump my ass off for him. I think we could tear it down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no
I'd
doubt,
be very
no doubt in my
interested.
mind. I would love to get in the ring with Shawn Michaels. That would be my all-time favorite match, my dream match. Yeah.
I don't blame you. I think a lot of people share that sentiment.
Yeah.
But finally,
All right.
if a movie of your life was made next year, who would you want to play you? And
Movie
why?
of my life playing. Who would play me
And why?
and why?
Why would they be the guy Maverick would endorse to play Maverick?
That's a tough one. I gotta be honest. I don't know. I don't know any young actors I think would really kind of fit the bill for. But Tom Holland.
That's an interesting choice.
Tom Holland. He's an athlete. First of all,
naturally, yes.
He's an athlete. He's a hell of a dancer. I was a hell of a dancer back in high school. So yeah, I mean, and I think that it could be a nice transition because he's young enough to look like he could pull off the teenage years and still go through with the adult years.
Right.
And obviously, I haven't changed much in my 21 years in this business.
Right.
So to go from my teenage years, from the start of my training to an independent icon, 2-time cruiserweight champ, 3-time cruiserweight champion now. Yeah, hell yeah, Tom Holland.
Interesting.
I mean, and he can probably pull off the Southern accent too.
Oh God, yes. He's a Brit, and he pulled off like your stereotypical American white kid. So
yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that doesn't shock me at all. I think he would do good. Of all
It's
the
an
people,
interesting choice.
of all the people that I could think of that could do, well, if anything, he could do the early years. From like 15 to, bless his heart, 15 to like 26, 27.
Right.
Okay. Fast forward a couple years, and I'm gonna kick you in the nuts for this. Patrick Dempsey could play the older version of me. Yeah.
I think Patrick Dempsey personally, it's not just about the looks. I actually think he could capture your cockiness pretty well.
Thanks.
A lot of his 80s work involved him playing a cocky asshole.
Well, yeah.
But that is all the time we have for tonight, folks.
All right.
Thank you for sitting with us.
I
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for talking with me.
Not a problem. Anytime.
And good fortune to your endeavors in the future.
All right, man. Till next time.
Word.